right. Today's lot of conferences, we've seen beauty, we've seen pain. There's only one game, though, that we've seen both, and that's Tomb Raider. Ouch, that's an awful segue. I already know that's an awful segue, but ow, there's a lot of pain there. You guys just don't like Lara. Is that what this is? It's just, you're fed up with her, we're going to make this girl suffer?
No, not at all, not at all. To us, it's about a journey, right? It's about taking the player on a journey so that when what we showed on stage this morning at Microsoft, when you see that play out, you feel like you've been there along for the ride with her to get to that point in time. You see her getting stronger, you see her becoming that Lara Croft that we all want her to be. So of course, we don't want it to go through pain throughout the entire game. It's only a small segment.
Well, what we saw was, like you said, Microsoft Showcase today. We've just seen a behind closed door point, and I'm actually quite interested how you're skipping between different segments of the game to show the transition from young girl growing up, becoming a survivor, becoming a hunter, and everything like that. That's obviously not very, very important to you guys. You've already stressed this when we first saw the game all those months ago.
It is very important to us that, you know, we're going back to the very beginning. We're going to an origin story to tell a tale of how a girl becomes an adventurer. And in order to do that, there's so many different things that happen in the course of that adventure. You know, this morning, for instance, we wanted to show people a pepper of kind of what it is that's in our, what's in the future. What's Lara going to become? Is she going to be stronger? And then what's the motivation behind why she's doing it? And last year we showed you 2 pieces of content where they were kind of an hour apart. Now we're going to fill in the blanks in between and sort of show you that turning point in the character, the first kill. So what you saw is a very emotional piece that makes you sit back and go, it was kill or be killed, real survival moment, and now it gives motivation to everything else that you see her do throughout the franchise. So it's very important that we showed these pieces in the right order, but also in the right context, so that you feel like I understand the journey she's going on.
It does make for very uncomfortable viewing at the end there. We saw her being kidnapped, trussed up and everything like that. As yourselves, you want to portray that to the player, but does that make yourselves slightly uncomfortable because of what you're actually doing there?
Yeah, no, I think to us, we're all about immersing the player into the world as deeply as possible. And we want to make sure that if we're going into an M-rated space, which we are, we're not treating it with kid gloves. It's all about survival. So if we were to try and make it a softer approach, you wouldn't really feel the emotion, you wouldn't feel the personality, and certainly not the growth in the character. So there are those uncomfortable moments which we're willing to sort of cross that border, just to make the player feel like, okay, now I know why she's becoming the character that she is. She's willing to do whatever it takes. Her friend Sam was kidnapped, so now you can see she's obviously willing to either, you know, it's kill or be killed. She doesn't want to be the one being killed, so she's willing to do whatever it takes, but also now she wants to save her friend, so she's getting that little bit stronger.
And we also saw the smaller hub space you're talking about, guides players through the different elements of the game mechanics. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we saw in the demo. First is the base camp system, which is a very important tool for us because it shows us gear gating. It shows us how to be able to salvage and use those salvage parts to improve our skills and the equipment that we have. And we look forward later on in the year to be able to elaborate on that and what the gear set is. We know she gets the bow, we know she has the climbing axe. Then on the other side, we have our survival skills, which is a very important factor. It's all about the growth of the character. So the more you do in the game, the more you get rewarded through XP. You then trade it in for skill points that allows you to be able to grow the character as you see you want her to. Then we have other things, which is the hub spaces. The hub spaces to us are real sort of exploration areas. You know, we're not an open world game, so what we try and do is build these spaces where the player feels they can truly explore. We have linear moments like the one that you saw, but they're played out really contextualized. You really feel like you're playing those areas for a reason, and it's not a Tomb Raider of old. So some of the bigger things that we've done that you see in this demo are really sort of bringing to life some of our promises about true exploration and smart, resourceful Lara.
Like you said, it's not clear-cut Tomb Raider, and certainly from a story point of view, it's not quite clear exactly what's going on with this island. I mean, last time there was plenty of questions out there. There seems to be even more questions this time round. Lara's not on her own, she's meeting up with a group of people, but there's that element that's sort of like us versus them extent with her on the island.
Yeah, and there's 2 sides to it. One, there's the scavengers, right? She came across them last year in the first piece of code that we showed. Now she comes across them again and they try to kill her, and she has to kill one to be able to sort of move on. But then there's the survivors. There's the people that she knows from the ship, the Endurance. And those survivors allow us to be able to show a very different side to the character. If you remember of Tomb Raider old, Lara used to sort of skip around different parts of the world. You never really got to see a personality and how she interacted with people. Now we bring the dynamics of these crew that she knows she has a personality with. Each one has its own little characteristic, and now you get to see a side to her, which is very important for the growth of the character. We don't want it to be seen as a caricature of herself. We want players to feel like they understand who she is and how she interacts.
And I guess we're coming up to the line now where there'll be things you'll say, no comment, can't really elaborate on. But what can we expect to see next? Because obviously you guys have this planned out to find out what you're showing with each part of Tomb Raider. What can we expect next?
So I think our big goal later on in the year is to show combat. It's something that we've kept secret for a very long time. You saw a little bit of it today at the Microsoft conference, and now the goal really is that we show you how she gets the equipment, we put it on screen, and we make sure that you understand who she is and where she's going. So to bring out combat later on in the year is really, really cool. We've spent a lot of time. We built an entire new team. Some of the team have been brought in from some of the biggest games around to be able to make sure that one of the promises we set out to make, which is to develop a really cool combat system, is seen to come to fruition.
And what are those biggest games you're mentioning?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see. I'm keeping those guys secret. They're like hidden away in the studio, and I'm going to bring them out later.
I tell you what, there's a bar over there. I'll get you a drink in the free bar if you tell me. Is that convincing enough?
I'll get you a drink in the free bar.
All right, okay, well, I guess that's pretty much us wrapping up. When should players be ready to get hands-on with the game?
So we're actually looking to probably mid-summer. I think it's really important for us that we give the player the opportunity to sort of get the hands, see how the controls work, see how the bow works. We don't want to keep hiding it away. This is probably one of the last times that we'll do something like behind closed doors. We really want to make sure we get out there front and center. And the Microsoft stage this morning really gave us an opportunity to be able to show our game off to the world, much like we did last year. So expect to see some hands-on as we start to get through the deeper into the summer.
Well, again, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Cheers.